Hey everyone, Cream Ray here. Today we have Aj Roberts, who is the owner and head strength and conditioning coach at 180 Degree. Aj, how's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today. As mentioned, you're probably the second or third, strength and conditioning coach that we've had on. So it's always nice to tap into this space and understand the importance of having a coach. But
Definitely.
can you take us back in time and share how you got involved into your space?
Yeah, first of all, sports obviously took me into this discipline. So I played high level athletics. Went through the provincial national system in Canada. Went through the CIS system. Went through York University, and through there I was also studying. Had trials overseas and went the pro route. But obviously, it took me another direction. 1% of us make it. I'm the 99%. So I'm here and I decided that I wanted to work with this population and stay in the field. And I developed a program, obviously through schooling, working with general population and specifying with athletes. I developed a well-rounded program that specifies in making sure that athletes from youth to pro are able to manage the demands of their sport, mainly soccer.
Absolutely. How did you navigate, from not pursuing to go pro, but then having to re-navigate into the space that you're in now? How do you navigate that? Because often players get into a mental state of not a positive state of mind and they don't know what to do with themselves. So how did you navigate that situation and create what you have created and put together with 180 Degree?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it was really tough. And that's one of the biggest components of my program now is knowing how my journey and the journeys of other athletes that I've worked with in the past have had to deal with the psychological aspect, like the failures and the successes, and knowing how to manage that. For myself, when I realized that the dots weren't connecting, it was rough because you're in an environment of other peers that are seeing success, and also a lot of people that are family members, good friends that see maybe you have the quote unquote potential, but see it not work out for you. So now you're walking around really alone with your thoughts and wondering where you root your self-worth, because as an athlete your body is your self-worth, your talent is your self-worth, and as a youth athlete you need to progress in order to maintain your self-worth, whether it be making a team or going pro or getting a scholarship. All those things are pretty much what athletes tend to use to define themselves, which is very tough. So when I was laying in bed wondering what the hell I'm going to do, it was it was really kind of a journey that did not happen overnight at all. It took a lot of time experimenting and hanging out with friends, de-stressing, leaving the game completely, to realize that this is the avenue I wanted to take. Um, it was a situation where uh, depression was a real thing, and I'm not a professional in the industry. I have those people that I really use to um, define the define and diagnose correctly. But that being said, it was very clear that I was in a dark space, and I respect that journey because it allowed me to really test my limits, of what I was able to do, and it allowed me to continue to not want to fail at this next endeavor, which is to develop a program that allowed me to help athletes where I couldn't succeed or to give a service that I never had as a kid.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Often as entrepreneurs, sometimes the people closest to us may not see the vision or fully support what we're doing. What difficulties did you come across when putting together this program? Did you have the full support from the people around you, or did you have to go within yourself and pull through to show them?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's funny because like even my closest friends, when they talk about um what it was like when I was first shooting the idea to them, they're just like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So they obviously supported me because I was their friend, best friend, close friend, relative. But it is very hard to see something from nothing. Now, a lot of people can look at a blank canvas and see the portrait, but I had the portrait because I already went through the trial. So
Yeah.
I knew where I had failed, and I knew that as long as I don't fall into the pitfalls as an athlete that I had encountered, I wasn't really going to fail at this. So no stresses now.
Absolutely. So you're at a point now with 180 that business comes to you, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, as much as and I'm all calls constantly on the hunt for people that need my support too. So definitely, I have the inquiries. Like people know where I am, they know how to find me. But at the same time, I'm still always looking to see where I can improve and who I can reach out to, and what pockets I'm not really tapping into, because I do have special abilities and special talents and God-given talents that I really wish that more people had access to. And we're still in kind of like a pay-to-play environment. So it's still tough to navigate, but yeah, really in order to get to me, you would have to be someone or a parent or a kid that really knows what level they're trying to reach.
Understood. Tapping into, how you create your programs, how you train your athletes, what you program into them mentally and physically. Can you tap into a little bit about what goes into that?
Yeah. So in terms of the how to build a program, you have to have to have an understanding of the industry, which is why I typically work with majority football or soccer players. I know the pathway, I've studied the pathway, I have the network with coaches, I know the physiotherapists that work specifically with soccer players, and I really value that because I don't want to step out of my zone and not be an expert and give advice. That being said, I mean, I do work with people outside of the sport, but that's why they're typically already professional because I can bounce off ideas rather than give them my input. And I really think that's a high priority in terms of training because you need to have been through the fire physically and mentally to understand what you're giving the athlete. And you have to understand what their competition schedule is like. You need to know how often they're training, what they could be working towards, what the transfer windows are like, and how they can ramp up and be in peak fitness for that. And again, that's just the physical side. When it comes to the psychological side, I'm dealing with um, female or female identifying athletes. That's one sector. Then you have males. That's another sector. Then you have youth athletes. That's another sector. Then you have kids that are in high school, college, like professional athletes. Even though this is just one sport, or not just athletic discipline, all of these age ranges are dealing with social constructs and um, social issues that can impact the way they train. And when an athlete comes to me, I'm on auto tune. So if I'm giving you this exercise after exercise after exercise, and you're not being done to the T, then I can't guarantee success. So I have to be able to tap into an athlete's mental state and understand, you know what, maybe today I got to dial down, or maybe today I got to talk more, or maybe today I have to listen more so that I can get the most out of the athlete. So yeah, it's really understanding the sport and understanding the athlete as much as possible. So you'll notice that with my program, it's very individual based, not necessarily from a programming standpoint. Of course, it's individual based, but when it comes to dealing with the athlete that comes in, it's not cookie cutter because I understand that where you live in Toronto versus where you live in North America could impact how you train, where you train, how you see training, how you eat. All those things can impact how effective I can be with an athlete and how much effort and focus and that I need to put into an athlete.
Yeah, that's amazing. I could see the depth that you put into your work, the passion, the love. It's amazing to see because I automatically thought of a trainer that I used to train with that was still fairly new to the space that didn't go into the depth that you're going into. You got the training aspect, being an expert in that space, but you took it to the next level. And the point that I want the point that I want to shine light on is the point that you said that you lived it, you experienced it, you studied it, you have the connections in the space, and now you're able to be more valuable to the person that you're training and have a deeper connection. And then I really like the points where you're expressing the different communications that you have with the different sectors. I think that's another very valuable point. and gets me even excited. So even when I come back, I want to hit you up and say, yo, let's train, man. So for the viewers as well, where are you located and where can they find you?
So primary location is in Etobicoke, 1192 Martin Grove. We need the address, but in Etobicoke. But then again, I'm in the GTA. So when it comes to off-season training, summer training, there are different facilities that I kind of collaborate with depending on what the demand is or what club I'm working with. So yeah, GTA Toronto based.
Got it. Connection wise, you said you're connected to coaches. What type of relationships do you have, and what type of connections are you able to mention? Schools, teams, stuff like that. I'm interested to know.
Yeah, so again, it got to a point in my program where the training was really on autopilot in the sense where I've seen so many bodies, I can identify what you need physically. But I need to the best of my ability, guarantee success. And the only way to guarantee success is to outline your goals, which means I have to know the pathways, as I said before. So again, through playing myself, working with athletes that have gone through all the stages, you start to know NCAA coaches because you're talking to them about their fitness when they are freshmen or year to year through NCAA career, or agents. So agents will contact me during off season and say, "Hey, look, this is how the athlete performed. I need you to take care of this." Um, Coaches, obviously on the club youth level, I like to talk to the coaches and say, how is this athlete performing? Everyone wants to get bigger, stronger, faster, but technically, how is this athlete doing? Because maybe it's not the strength and conditioning side that needs to be worked on, it's the technical side. So just from the communication of figuring out how to best program an athlete, everything that surrounds an athlete's success has a professional, and that professional is someone that, or that specific profession, there's someone I know or multiple people I know in every sector, because I need to make sure that I have a well-rounded program. So if someone comes into me with pain, physio. If someone comes up to me with psychological issues, diet issues, I can send you where you need to go in order to make sure that when you come to see me, it's a worthwhile hour.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to, I want to tap into one thing here. What about the mental? Because we know the mental is very important. Do you get involved in that as well, or?
Yeah, so I actually have a pretty close resource, which is my wife, and she is in DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion, and her special talents really is to not dumb down her profession too much or disrespect the definition of what she does, but I like to tell people that she teaches people how to think, teaches people how to empathize, and teaches people how to approach situations from as well-rounded thought as possible and not centralize themselves. So where that helps me is it allows me to tap into her knowledge and start to say, okay, these are my experiences as a Black ex-athlete, now strength and conditioning coach from Toronto. But here's how my view could be impacting how I'm speaking to this athlete from a completely different sector, like all those sectors I talked about. Because I'm in performance, I need every athlete to perform well. So if you have jerk chicken and rice for dinner every night versus lasagna, that is a cultural difference. I need to know what is happening there. And food is just an easy analogy for the mindset aspect. So if someone comes in, they're having a rough day, how am I going to speak to them without being the expert, which I could not be, but more so the person that they can at least talk to and know that there's a safe space to have those feelings and also still train. Because at the end of the day, I got to focus on the sport. That's why you're here. But if an athlete is starting to feel demotivated, I need to know the right words to kind of poke and prod to make sure that they're still on the right track. Or they're dealing with like private issues at home. Those are things that can impact the training. So the the resources there, and what it is just a program that starts with a set of questions that puts up certain flags, and if those flags start to from my perception hinder the training, we'll start to address the psychological aspect, whether it be communication to the parents, communication to the child, or just switching up how I train athletes in general in order to get the best out of them.
Understood. I apologize for the time. I don't have a plan with Zoom, so they're trying to keep it
That's
up.
all good.
Heading towards the end here, I want to tap into the business side a little bit. So, what's your business entity structure? Is it a corporation, a LLC? How do you set it up?
It's a corporation. And like a side note, range towards the not-for-profit side in terms of making myself accessible. What's the corporation? And well, we have trainers here as well, physiotherapists that kind of help with the onboarding and training aspect and injury management of every athlete.
Understood. And then the last business question is, how do you plan? Do you have plans to scale? And if you do, how do you plan to implement those plans?
Yeah, scaling is really just by having other strength and conditioning coaches that understand the methodology and able to just be as passionate about myself as myself, and have parents also trust that I only bring on a strength and conditioning coach that has that passion, has that experience that I've had. The strength and conditioning aspect is taken care of. It's just a matter of making sure that we can manage the athletes that are coming in. And even though we only work with what I would consider elite athletes, there are a lot of elite athletes. So there are a lot of athletes that are kind of waiting for their turn, their space in the gym, and I need bodies for that. And then secondly, it's just being accessible throughout the GTA. So satellite locations, another flagship location, just to make sure that we have different facilities that athletes can go to.
Nice. Maybe I have last two questions. Can you name, some of the top athletes? Because you have a lot of big players in there, especially from Canada. So can you name some of the players, professional players that you train?
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting on Noble Okello right now from TFC that is looking to other endeavors right now. He's a big prospect, young guy. Olivia Smith right now from Penn State has a game on Sunday, going into her national championship, having a good run there. Diana Matheson, huge support of her right now. Ex-national team player, obviously, 17 years, and she's really fighting to have like a pro women's soccer team here. So I'm really watching that closely. Jordan Hamilton just won his third championship. He was 2 times with MLS, and he just won with Forge at CPL. Quite a big list. And I want to shout out my guy that is starting his season with Harvard basketball. So I'm excited to see if I can get down to Boston and watch one of his games too.
Nice. You said Harvard basketball?
Yeah, Harvard basketball.
Nice. That's funny that you mentioned Harvard. Yesterday, I just did another interview. It was my second interview from a professional soccer guy that went to Harvard for economics. So it's always interesting because Harvard's such a big school, and I've never went to college university, and it's a pretty cool interaction to have them on the podcast and just dig into their experience.
Yeah, special talent with those academics and that are able to really manage it. High respect for them. High respect for them.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing is the getting in requirements and process, because it's not the normal way that happens. Anyways, with saying that, I've had Noble on the podcast as well. When you see him, tell him I said what's up, and love. He came in on the beginning stages of the podcast. But yeah, you've trained a lot of professional athletes. I just want to plug in your information one more time, social medias, where the viewers can find you. And I'm excited when I get back to Canada to connect with you in person and get a training session in. So
looking forward to having you, man. Yeah, I mean, for people that are looking to just see what the training's like and just shoot me a message, you can hit me up on Instagram. That's at 180.degree, at 180.degree. That's probably the easiest place that people can kind of reach out, shoot a comments, and see what's going on the day to day.
Nice. I gotta end it off with some fun questions. So there's speed questions. You gotta answer them fast.
All right, cool.
All right. So, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Jerk chicken and rice and peas for sure.
Favorite music?
Oh, I'm a piano right now.
Yeah, piano.
Yeah.
What about favorite artist? Music.
Ooh, I'm a Drake stan.
Jeez.
For
Did you?
Toronto, I got to. Gotta
No,
support.
me
What?
too, man. Did you listen to the new album?
I did. It was good.
Yeah. Who's your favorite soccer team? In MLS.
Monty FC for sure.
Favorite soccer team in Europe or football team?
Right now,
Yeah.
right now, Real Madrid. They're the funnest to watch right now.
Yeah. Nice. And then the last one, Messi or Ronaldo?
Ooh, um, because of my industry and my focus on mindset, I always have to champion the winner. And
Mm,
Ronaldo right now is the best winner. Is he the best player? I don't think so, but he is definitely the best winner.
understood. Yeah. Hmm. Well, we're towards the end. We're running out of time here, but did you want to plug in anything else or mention anything? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll definitely be in contact with you to let you know what other projects we have in place because I love that you touch base on the mental side. And just like I always said, right now, the strength and conditioning aspect is kind of locked in. Every athlete that comes in know they're going to get the best service, but the pathway and having citizens and community is my biggest focus right now. And the mental health aspect and in a broader sense, how to deal with social issues that are happening so prevalently and frequently, right now, are biggest things that I want to address, whether it be parents and athlete and coach communication. So just stay tuned for that, definitely.
Absolutely. I'll be staying in tuned. You know, I like that you mentioned community. I never really knew the importance until shout out to Dennis Thomas.
Oh, Dennis is the man. Yeah.
Dennis, yeah, he opened my eyes. He shared some good info. I met him in person, and he shared some good information with me, and it's helped me ever since. So shout out to Dennis.
Oh,
Um, but community is huge, so it's great to tap in with you. Um, but Aj, before we go, I just want to thank you for taking the time for joining us on the One Soccer Nation podcast today.
thank you for having me, bro.